Many of you wonder what the heck is going on in these weirdos' minds when they do the things that they do. What is going on in their minds when you walk away? Because of course, this is really the problem that so many of us have with these people, is that you just can't put yourself in their shoes. I mean, honestly, you think, if that was me, I would just do the opposite. And I have been doing the opposite. I have been trying to work with them, understand them, make it less about myself, my emotions, what are meant to be my issues. I have been trying to see things from their perspective, but no matter how much I do that, nothing gets better, and I just end up losing myself. And yet, they're inflexible, they're rigid, maladaptive. They don't want to listen to you, they don't want to understand you. They don't want to stop. They don't want to look at themselves and their own behavior. They don't want to take accountability for their actions. They don't want to make any positive changes or adaptations. They don't want to do any of that. So of course it can be very... But yeah, that's why I make these videos, so that you can understand these people, because of course, me and you, it's like, we can understand each other. We're on the same wavelength, We get each other. We know where the other person is coming from. We know our own motivations. We know our own, what's the word now? I've lost it, all of the distractions. It makes it difficult to think. What is the word? What is our motive, our intentions? That's it. We understand each other's intentions, motives. But with these people, you can't get it, you can't understand. It just doesn't make any sense, because they have a disorder. That's why you can't figure things out with them. That's why there's no common ground. There's no resolution, no understanding. And instead, what happens again and again? You keep paying the price. You keep getting the short end of the stick, because they don't want an understanding. They don't want peace. They want war. They want what you've got. They want to take it from you. And that's why they don't want to understanding. They want to keep crossing over your boundaries, coming onto your turf, your territory, and taking what you've got. And taking far more than is warranted, than they're giving out themselves. So it's not fair, it's not equal. And that's just what they want to keep doing. And this is why you fail to understand them, because you're thinking more about fairness, equality, a relationship, give and take. That's what you're thinking. That's why you can't understand them, because you weren't raised that way. These people are constantly in survival mode. They're constantly looking for an excuse to take from you. And what are we doing? It looks like we are constantly looking for excuses to give more. That's what we're doing. And honestly, some of us, we need to stop and look at ourselves and see that that is what we're doing. We're looking for excuses to invest more and more, and to see them as good people again, to see it as though if we just do this, if we just try a little bit harder, we can help them, we can fix everything. Am I right? And yeah, unfortunately, that is our issue. I've just got to tell it like it is. That is our issue. Many of us were codependents, people pleasers. We think that we can fix people. No, we can't, okay? We can't do that. And sometimes that's our own ego. Thinking that we can do everything, we can take on all of the responsibility, but we can't. We cannot change someone, especially someone who does not want to change. Someone who's just lying to you, manipulating you. So don't take that on. Focus on you. Focus on what you can do, because you can improve yourself. But yeah, that's just a little intro into this video, because I know it's difficult to understand these people, and this is why it's difficult. It's because they have a disorder, they're narcissistic, they're self-absorbed, and they just don't care about you or how their behavior affects you. It's just all about themselves. It's all about what have they got to do, what have they got to tell themselves, so that they can essentially just rob you and destroy you. And then just move on without a conscience, without any accountability, consequences, without feeling any shame for what they did. That's what they're really trying to do. And when you really get that you're dealing with a predator who's not looking for anything fair or equal, that's when it all begins to make more sense. When you realize that they're not like you, when you understand that they are the predator and you are the prey. So that's how you've got to start seeing it from now on. Realize that they're not like you. They don't want something fair or equal. They don't want to give out the same as what they're getting from you. No, they want more. As for us, we were raised differently, and it's like, if we get back what we're giving out, or, it doesn't have to be exact, just somewhat around the same as what we're giving out. And we know beforehand what we need to give out, what we're going to get back, and it's relatively the same. We're fine with that. We're satisfied. It's not like that with these people, though, because they can't be satisfied. They feel inadequate deep down. And so they're always looking for more. They're trying to come up at your expense, emotionally, financially, in every sort of way. But yeah, just a little intro into their minds, into how they think. And now we're going to talk about what they think of you when you leave. Because, it's happening more and more now. Victims are becoming more awake, more aware of what they're dealing with. They realize that this person is not going to change, is not going to improve or get better, despite what they may be told. And so more and more victims are now leaving now, earlier and earlier. They're waking up. And of course, the narcissist always has something to say. They've always got to get in that last word. They're always having to think something of you to regulate themselves, to manage their fragile self-esteem and sustain their false narrative. So of course, yes, they're going to be thinking all sorts of things of you. In their minds, it's like, how dare you leave me? And, when you hear these things from them, because they may say something similar to that, in your mind, it's like, what? How dare I leave you? After everything that I did for you? After how much I helped you, I upgraded your life? And after what I got back in return, all of the manipulation, just lies and future faking, never following it up with action, abuse, destroying my reputation, ruining my work, just turning everyone against me. And what? It's like, how dare I leave? Which, of course, is a completely rational way to think after how things went down. So, of course, you're going to be coming back at it like that. You're going to be thinking, how dare I leave? Of course. But this is what you've got to understand about them, is that they're very arrogant, delusional. They have to feel like they're superior, faultless, flawless. Of course, it's a recipe for disaster when you're involved with, connected to someone who's only thinking of themselves, doesn't care about your feelings, your needs, doesn't care about how these things are affecting you. Of course, that's a recipe for disaster. Of course, it's going to affect you, and at some point, it's going to make you want to leave. And if you don't leave, you're not going to be happy with that situation. Unless you're lying to yourself. And of course, that's what they want is, they gaslight you to try and make that happen. Or they shame you so that you don't ever really want to reflect on it and you just pretend that everything's fine. It's what we can see sometimes, when you look back on social media, whether it's yours or theirs, and you see these old pictures, and you were just sitting there smiling, acting like nothing's wrong. Meanwhile, you're dying inside, just dying to get out, but thinking that if you keep the peace, if you just go along with it, maybe things will get better. Or you just settle for it because some parts of it feel good, there's the intermittent reinforcement. So sometimes it can be nice. And you really just want that love that you thought it was going to be a healthy relationship. So you hold on for those good times. But yeah, this is what they try and do, to keep you in it. And of course, by us going along with it, it doesn't really help ourselves, when we're dealing with these people. Because they look at it like, you've been here all of this time. And they expect you to see it as a privilege just to be around them. Just to be a part of the fantasy, the grandiose delusion. So in their minds, you're ungrateful. They minimize everything you did for them. Everything you had to tolerate, that never happened. And instead, it's all about, you got to be along for the ride. You got to be a part of the grandiosity. So you're the one who is ungrateful when you leave them. And also there's the entitlement. They may see it as though you're abandoning them without help or support. So then they'll play the victim, they'll smear you. They become very entitled, and this is when they start filing for child support, alimony, going after everything you've got. Even stealing money from you, filing false claims, false accusations, trying to get more, trying to get everything. Because they're never satisfied, like I said, and they're very delusional. And they see it as though you are this hero, this savior. At least initially, and then later on, it's more about you just exist to serve them. You're just this object that exists for their use, for their fulfillment. So that's how they're seeing it, and they see it as though it's it for life. So you can't ever walk away. And also they kind of project because they make it out like you're the one who's arrogant. You're the one who's being selfish now. It's like, oh, you think you're better than them? Do you think you're better than everything they did for you, as they like to see it? Because of course, again, they are delusional. They rewrite the past. They live in a false reality. They're not consciously thinking about the things that they've done to you. You know, unless, of course, we're talking about people higher on the spectrum, sociopaths, then yes, they are aware of everything they've done to you. The narcissist blocks it all out. They tune it out. They're a different person from one moment to the next. And they just forget about all of that they did to you. They just focus on the present. And in the present, they become a victim, a martyr. And the entire time, they were a Samaritan. But yeah, they look at it like no one else is going to put up with you. Because in their minds, they're perfect, flawless, superior. So you're never going to find any better than them. Even though, in reality, they never actually did anything for you. They were just a liability to you. They ruined your life. But that's how they see it, is that you're never going to find better than them. And also because of their grandiosity, because of the false self. They then see you as insignificant, irrelevant. They have to. Because really at that point, you've become very important to them. Now it's like a crisis. They're in panic mode. You're leaving. They can't deal with those emotions, so they have to suppress it. Especially if there's no way for them to control you, coerce you back in. That they have to play it down. They have to act like it's nothing, you know, good riddance to you. I'm glad you're gone. And they'll easily replace you. They'll easily find something else, something better. That's how they've got to see it. And the reason why they have to see it that way, why they have to see it as though, you know, you're nothing, you're irrelevant, you're insignificant. Who needs you? Just get lost. I know this new person, they're way better now. Or they're about to replace you so easily. And they're going to be so much happier with this next person. The reason why they do that, instead of focusing on coercion, on controlling you, it's because they can't control you. That's why. Because if they could, then typically they would. It's either they can't or it's just too much effort and it's so much easier to just get a new supply. So that's why they go about it in that way. It's either because it's too much effort or it's because they can't. If they saw an opportunity to control you, they would probably take it. But they focus on what they think they can control. That's typically what they go to, is the control. If they see that they can have control over something, best believe that they're going to be all over it. And so just like that, they shift their focus. Because they've been through it before, the rejection, the humiliation. They try to move away from pain and towards pleasure, away from insecurity, and not to develop a sense of security within themselves, but seeking that outside of themselves through a sense of control. So then they just direct their attention elsewhere. But yeah, it's kind of a double standard around here, because at the same time, they see it as though if you're able to walk away, someone else must be in your ear. Even if there's no signs of it, they assume someone else must be manipulating you. someone else must have got to you and done a much better job on you than they did. And that's really why they just see it as a lost cause. This is when you see them start to give up. Remember before you saw the love bombing? You saw them all over you, giving you gifts, everything. They were really making an effort there. I mean, a narcissist love bombing is incredible. It's the ultimate seduction. It really is. I mean, of course it is. This is how so many people fall prey to their tactics. Because the love bombing it's incredible. Even if it is a fantasy. But this is why you stop seeing that. They stop trying to manipulate or control you. Because now they see that they are outmatched, or they think they are. They think they can't get a foot in the door anymore. They're never going to have that control like they used to. They're never going to have that emotional investment from you because they're not what you want. They're not what you like. They're not what you're really attracted to. And they see it as though someone else is in your ear, someone else is manipulating you far better than they are. So they just give up, they just fall back. They just think they can't compete with that. And that's why they then give up on the love bombing. Because I can tell you this, right? If a narcissist thinks they've got a shot, if they think, oh, that's all I've got to do, and even then, you know, they will max out their own energy to secure a fresh new source of supply, because that is like ecstasy to them. They will often do anything they can, and you know, that's how they often do secure a new source. Because they do things that everyone else is not willing to do, and that's what makes them stand out to that person. That may have been what made them stand out to you. Is that they were willing to go all out. Or at least, you know, they gave you the fantasy, and that's what made them stand out. But yeah, they feel like there must be someone else who is manipulating you. Someone else who is taking you away from them. They can't see it as though you've mustered up the courage to walk away. They can't see it that way because, you know, they see it as though their manipulation is flawless. As though it's really good. And so someone else must have manipulated you better. That's how they have to see it. But also, let's not underestimate the paranoia, the delusion of a narcissist, where they may be thinking that you're walking away to get revenge, or that you were cheating on them the whole time. And yes, this is a projection a lot of times, but also consider that with narcissists, a lot of this is unconscious. So they're not really thinking about it in that way. And, you know, the paranoia. So many of them, they really believe that you must have had someone else. You must have been cheating on them. This is why they become very suspicious, paranoid, jealous, possessive, going through your phone, stalking you. Because they genuinely believe that this must be true. And this is it, you know. Some of you, you think that they don't really believe that, or it's just like an excuse, or you know, they're just trying to shift the blame onto you. But actually, no, many of them do believe it. They genuinely do believe that you are the cheater, you are the abuser, and as though they're just doing what they should do which is to affect you, punish you. That's really how a lot of them see it. And it's crazy when you think about it, but that's how it is, you know, because when someone is that self-absorbed, that much just focus on themselves, their own feelings and needs, their own things that they're going through, they can't even really see you. They only see themselves. They see that they're going through something and they do not want to take accountability. They have an external locus of control. So they have to put it onto someone else. Like they feel a certain way inside and they have to see it as though you've done them wrong rather than themselves not being good enough. Rather than themselves being abusive. Because again, they had to be abusive to try and regulate their own emotions, and it's all based off of the paranoia, the delusions, everything. All of this stuff is going on in their minds constantly. And this is why they lash out in the ways that they do. They become possessive, controlling, jealous. They really just self-sabotage. But yeah, they see it in all sorts of ways like this, and they have to see it as though you're nothing without them. You're doing it to get revenge, you're doing it for attention. They have to see it this way. This is all projection as well. Unconscious, narcissistic projection. You know, they are the ones who are selfish. They are the ones who are all about themselves. They are the ones who are obsessed with attention. But they put it all onto you, the very things that they are doing. They just project it onto you. They have to make up some narrative to regulate themselves because they feel irrelevant, insignificant, unwanted. And they don't want to accept the truth that it's because they've been abusive, and that they've been abusive because deep down they feel inadequate. And they're trying to gain a sense of significance to you. Because all they really had was the fantasy and you saw through that. So this is how all of this manifests. And it's crazy when you think about it that, you know, it all comes back to them just feeling inadequate. And that's how, by the end of it, it's all projected onto you. After everything you've been through, you've been abused, robbed, and just blamed for everything. After everything you had to tolerate. And yet because they're insecure, they're inadequate, that's why they put you through all of that. And not only that, that's why they blame you, because it's a projection. Because they cannot accept these things about themselves. And this is why they do not want to accept that they are abusive, because that all comes back to them feeling inadequate. That's what it all comes back to. And that's why when you do confront them, and they're forced to reflect, they're forced to accept, all right, yes, I did this to you. And if they can't find any justification, they can't bring up anything in the past about you, if it's too long ago or something, this is when you see them just pull the mask right off and they use it to intimidate you. To make you feel inadequate. Again, it's a projection. Because they know that that abuse that they inflicted on you, what they put you through, the effects that they had on you and your life, they know that that means that they are not good enough, they are inadequate. And this is why, you know, they really abuse and just blow everything up to see it as a source of power. And this is why they exaggerate it and they really harp on it all day. It's because they, deep down, they know that if they were enough, then they would have chosen love. They know that themselves deep down. This is why, at the beginning, they act like very loving, caring people. And it's ingrained in all of them. They all know that this is what's wrong with them, is that they can't love, they can't receive love. They know that this is their problem. This is why they get so mad at you, especially when you try to love them. And this is why the last thing they want is to see you being loved, or just for anyone to see you, or for you to see the real vulnerable self of anyone. This is why they try and ruin you, they smear you, isolate you, just tarnish your reputation, so people are always on guard when they're around you. There's no real intimacy, no real connection, no real friendship. And no one can really see you because you've just been destroyed, destabilized. It's the love that they are trying to destroy. And take note of this, because this is not personal. They do not see you, they never saw you. They just saw a reflection of the love they wanted that they never got in their childhood. That's all that it was. And again, when you leave them, they just be reminded again of how they're unlovable, they're not worthy of love, they're inadequate, they're broken, especially if they have to see you moving on and you're loving yourself. And it's like, how they haven't got that love. It's a reflection of that, especially if they see you moving on and you're in a new relationship. They just want to destroy that. And this is what it all comes back to, is that they feel unlovable. And that's why they can't have you loving yourself. That's why they can't have anyone loving you. And yet they know that you're better than them. In so many ways, they know that you're real, you're genuine, you're a good person. You did the best that you could for them. So they know that people are gonna love you. And this is why they try to make you out to be unlovable, unlikable. This is why they tarnish your reputation, they smear you, discredit you, make you out to be the abuser, the narcissist. They try to ruin you for that reason. This all revolves around love. And yeah, this means that there must be a lot of lovable people that I'm talking to if you're going through this. Because otherwise they wouldn't care so much. They wouldn't make the effort. But this is what it is, it's all a fight for this illusion of being lovable, of feeling lovable, like they're good enough, and destroying that mirror in you. And yeah, this is why they go to playing the victim as well, to garner sympathy and attention. Because they see it as though that gives them a position of significance. And that gets people to focus on them, care for them, love them. Because of course, naturally we do feel like we're more compassionate. We give our passion, our love to helpless victims. So when you see that, where they go to playing the victim, blaming you for everything, they're just seeking love again. They couldn't get it from you anymore because you saw through them. So they're seeking love from other people. And it really helps, when you look at it in this way and you just see everything, how it all just revolves around love. Because that's just what it comes back to in their childhood, is that they were not loved. They didn't feel loved. And for whatever reason, however it happens, many of you have some level of self-esteem. You have some love for yourself, despite everything you may have been through in your childhood. And even though many of you may have been going through something, you still had more love for yourself than a narcissist did. And you've got to remember that. But yeah, this is really what they think of you when you walk away. Like, how dare you? How have you got the nerve to walk away from them? Because they've got to be delusional about it. They've got to see themselves as superior, flawless, faultless, as though it was a privilege for you just to be around them. That they even gave you a chance. That they even invested any time or energy into you. Like, you owe them for that, is how they see it. Because they've got to see themselves as greater. That's how they have that kind of mentality, that kind of attitude. And that's so many of them, they just cut you off, when you become too demanding. When you start expecting something fair, something equal, again, it's like, how dare you? They just cut you off. Because in their minds, they're the king, they're the queen. They should always get more. They should always be profiting from you, because in their minds, they have to see it as though they are greater than you. That's how they've got to see it. How's everyone doing in the live chat? Do you agree or disagree with what I've said to you? Do you have any questions for me? Feel free to drop it down below in the live chat, and let's talk about it together. Our Michael says they hate seeing a smile. Yeah, it's because, you exist to serve them. You're meant to owe them your life. Be a constant source of supply. So you have no reason to just stop and relax and smile. It's like, what have you got to be happy about? You should be busy doing for them. You should be busy working for them, is how they see it. You shouldn't have a moment of happiness. And, for us, it can hurt when we see them smile. Because it's like, after everything they did to us, everything they put us through, everything they robbed from us, everything we gave and we didn't get back a return, naturally we will see it as though, how do they have the right to be happy? And if there is a God, how can they be happy? It's unfair. After everything they put us through, after everything they took from us. But of course, they see it as though we are jealous, we are envious. That's how they see it. Just think about how ridiculous that is. A complete lack of self-awareness. And of course they play on that. They exaggerate it. They act like they're so happy now after everything they did to you, everything they put you through. Now, guess what? It will always be fake. It will always be a lie, a mirage. These people are never going to be happy. You know, that sense of peace, joy that you get when you're away from them, they're never going to have that for real. It's never going to be like that for them. What will make us happy is coming back within, finding peace within ourselves, taking accountability, accepting who we are, processing our emotions. That's how you find happiness. And these are all things that they are unwilling to do. This is why they're actually so miserable, so restless. This is why they ended up doing the things they did to you. Just like psychologist Dr. Ramani has said in her videos, they follow a shame abuse cycle. They abuse you, they put you through all of that, they take no accountability because they're trying to dodge the shame. They're running away from themselves. So how can they ever be happy? They're not even connected to who they are. That comes by taking accountability, by accepting who you are. So don't ever think that they got the better of you. They didn't. Victims always win in the end. And you know, that's just another reason why I always try to avoid doing anyone wrong. I'd always considering them and considering their feelings, their needs, their perspectives, because I don't want to be disconnected from myself. And I want to like who I am. And this is it, you know, what you do to another person, you do to yourself. And, you know, when you truly love and care for people, respect people, you're going to love and respect yourself so much more. Unfortunately, this is a part of it though. You know, we're involved with narcissists, it can bring out the worst in us. And it's normal, okay, you know, to look back sometimes and some of the things you said, some of the things you did, and it's like, I hate myself. I wish I could be better. I wish I could have handled things better than that. And I can tell you this, you know, it's great to think that way. It's not bad at all. Don't beat yourself up because of it. It's good that you have the self-awareness to see. And you just got to remember, you know, the things you went through. You weren't yourself then. When they were doing those things to you, you weren't being yourself. You have to remind yourself that, you know, that wasn't you. Yes, those were your actions, your behaviors, but that's not really you. And that's how you can then move past it and start becoming who you really are. Because this is it, you know, this is what we need to understand, is that how can you be yourself when you're being manipulated, abused, exploited, gaslighted, blamed for everything, having to tolerate all of that, and you're just struggling to cope through all of it because, you know, our brains, our bodies are not designed for all of it. Just like Kevin from the Royal V said in one of his videos, our brains, our body, our trauma response system, everything, it's all designed to escape from a bear for maybe 5 minutes. Not every day, not every minute of every day. And so it just breaks down our sense of self, and we just enter survival mode. And in that state, you're willing to do anything, say anything to just manage yourself, your emotions, and just survive. That's not really you. And yeah, we just did whatever we could to kind of defend ourselves and get through it. And you really just have to process those emotions and disidentify from it. Of course, also we have to accept it as a part of ourselves, as kind of like the dark night of the soul. And then let it go. Accept it and then let it go. And then just focus on what are you going to do now to strengthen yourself, heal yourself. Because of course, you can't keep holding on to it. That's only going to hold you back. But yeah, it is important to remember like what was done to us. And it's not about justifying how we reacted. I mean, we've got to be realistic here. I mean, it's like, how are you going to react if a tiger is chasing after you? Are you going to be looking back and thinking, I shouldn't have reacted that way? I mean, it's like your life is on the line. And that's just it, You're not going to be looking back and thinking you should have reacted a certain way. When you can see, it's like a predator, a wild animal is trying to kill you, destroy you. And this is it, this is the dissonance. It's like you don't really believe, you don't really see that you were dealing with a predator. Someone who is actively hunting you down. And how I see it, and often even in the eyes of the law, if you're being chased, hunted down by a predator, pretty much anything that you do is justified. It really is. I mean, unless you use more force than necessary. Like as an example, if you were being attacked on the street, and maybe you had something heavy in your hand and you hit them over the head, knocked them unconscious, disarmed them. But then if you continued attacking them, of course, we go into a gray area then, because it's like, well, did you do that because you were worried that they might regain consciousness and then attack you even more? Or did you do it because, you are the vicious, violent person? So some things can be debatable. But I think, most people, they understand that if you're being chased, hunted down, and you're vulnerable, then it's like, good on you, If you can stand up for yourself, protect yourself, even if you have reacted in ways that, a normal situation, it would seem toxic, abusive. It's different when you're being attacked, completely different. I mean, what are you supposed to do? And it's really messed up, but it's like, I remember that video with Cassie and Diddy, and she's just like laying on the ground, not even moving. That's how it becomes for a lot of us. We just freeze. Or we fawn and we walk on eggshells. We try to appease them. We're trying to make the abuser more comfortable. And it's a horrible experience to go through, because really, we should be defending ourselves, running away. So yeah, I mean, don't let them shame you for how you reacted to being abused. And you remind yourself, what was I supposed to do? And of course, it's good to question yourself, like, did I use more force than necessary? Or what would have happened if I didn't? But this is the thing, you've got to be very careful, because it can get you into a lot of trouble. If we're talking about violence, like if a narcissist is physically abusing you and then you hit them back. And this is the really sad thing about it, because I've seen some cases about this too. And, sometimes it's like a victim could have been being abused for years, daily. And then one day they just had it, they had enough. So they fight back. They hit the narcissist. And then straight away, the narcissist pulls out the phone, records the victim, and takes evidence of their bruises, and then the victim gets in trouble. The victim goes to jail. To me, it's like, it serves the narcissist right. What do you expect? If you're constantly provoking someone, winding them up for years, I mean, even if you're doing it for, a much shorter amount of time, like you're just poking someone constantly for minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if that person just hits back. Especially if they're trying to get away and they're being followed and continually poked. But with narcissists, they lack self-awareness and they twist everything around. So this is why you've got to be very careful with them. And, definitely always avoid reacting physically. Unless it's really, you're in a dangerous situation. And if you believe in your mind that, there's nothing else you can do and you just have to defend yourself, just document everything, take evidence. You've got to be very careful with these people, because they will make you out to be the abuser. And a lot of times that's what they're doing, they're constantly provoking you because they want you to lash out at them. Even if it is just in self-defense, and then they'll just turn it around and blame you. They'll play the victim. Again, it's crazy because, someone in that situation, being attacked from all directions, it's like, it seems they often blame the calmest coolest people in the world. That's how it seems. The most patient, the most kind, those are the ones who get blamed. Those are the ones who are turned into nervous wrecks. Until they have a very short fuse. And yeah, you know, that's really what they like. They want to turn a happy, easygoing person who has a bright personality, who's very kind and patient. They want to make that person more like them. Because it kind of regulates them in the moment, because that's what happened to them in their childhood. They never resolved the trauma, they never processed those emotions. So that's why they do that to you. But you remind yourself of who you really are, because that is not you. And I know I'm speaking to many of you when I say this. But really, you are very kind, patient, easygoing, loving people. I know that's true because, you know, I know that's what I'm really like. I'm very calm and peaceful. Unless I'm being provoked. And if I'm being provoked, I do get angry, I do get irritable. And maybe I have developed a bit of a short fuse. Because that's just what happens, you know, that's just how your body will naturally react to it. Because you become so used to it, and also they train you that when you do react, when you do get angry, then they will calm down. Because then, you know, it relieves their emotions. And Michelle Neves has talked a lot about this in her videos. How they provoke you to react and then they calm down afterwards. So in a lot of ways, it's like they train us to become abusers. And yeah, this happens to people every day, you know. The calmest, nicest people, they get painted as abusers. And the narcissist walks away, moves on and does the same thing to someone else. So you've got to be really careful with these people. They will frame you. They will frame you when really you're the hero. They will paint you as a villain when it's like, really, it's like you've done a service for the community. That's how it is. But yeah, I'm going to keep on doing my service by making the real victims aware of this, protecting them. Because I do believe that that is my duty here. Is to make sure that innocent people are protected. Empaths, good, genuine, kind people. Because so many of them, you know, they are really just being destroyed out here. And that's really what motivates me to get on here every day, is that preservation, preserving you. But yeah, I'm getting a bit hungry now. I'm gonna go and get something to eat. But I'd just like to thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video.